Hey, everybody, it's the garage door. We're opening the garage door tonight for Mr. Billy Baker. Billy, welcome to the garage.
Hey, Billy.
Hey,
Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you guys for asking me.
Billy, besides being a brother drummer, an all-around great guy, is also a drum builder and a drummer of note. Billy, let's jump right in. You are located in Nashville, correct?
That is right.
Music center of the Midwest, we should say, right now.
Yeah,
But
place has changed a little bit in the past 8 years.
oh yeah, oh my gosh, yes. Oh yes. Hey Billy, off topic real fast. Are the Great Escapes still there? Can you still hit the Great Escapes?
Yeah, the Great Escape. It's kind of one of the last things remaining, you know. When they moved Forks, you know, that was kind of hard for me because that was like the last little bit of old Nashville to me. So when that went, that was tough. You know, that was really tough. But you know, the new location's doing well. It's great, and same cast of characters down there. So
for those of you who don't know, Forks is a noted drum store. I mean, it's just a very cool drum destination almost. We drive down. You know, we live close to Louisville, Indianapolis. We drive down just to go to Forks, you know, and check out what's there. Well, while we're on that topic, Billy, let's talk a little bit about your past. Now, you were in a pretty influential band. Craig, I know you're the one that discovered Billy's, the band he was in. Am I saying this right? The KOROs?
KORO.
Billy?
KORO.
KORO.
KORO. KORO. You know, it all started like early 80s. You know, we were just a bunch of high school kids, and we you know, heavily influenced by what was going on, you know, which was like, you know, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, Fear, Minor Threat. Minor Threat was kind of like maybe just a hair after, but you know, we were really into those bands, and you know, we especially the Circle Jerks. I think the whole speed, you know, they were just so fast, and Lucky Lear was just such an incredible drummer. You know, it's he kind of influenced me. Chuck Biscuits, you know, so. We just kind of like set out to like be let's be the fastest punk rock band ever, you know.
I think you guys won that. I think you were.
It's crazy. We just, you know, we were just high school kids. We would get in a garage over the summer. You know, we'd go to the pool during the day, you know, high school break, you know, summer break, and we'd all just listen to punk rock music and, you know, plan our, you know, what we wanted to do. And we would just write songs. My older brother was a singer. He was probably the oldest guy in the band. I think he was 18 or 19. So we just basically, Carl Snow, David Teague, Ron Fennell, Scott Simple, and me, Billy Baker. And Carl's dad, he kind of gave us some money to go in and record an EP. And that's
a rare one to find too now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's crazy because every once in a while people would just send me like the latest eBay figure of what that thing went for. So there's initially like 500 copies pressed of this EP that we did. You know, I don't think any songs over a minute.
Let's see, there are 8 songs on there, right?
Yeah.
And it's like six minutes or something long.
Yeah. So we just went into this little place, Southern Sound, in Knoxville, Tennessee, and that's the first time any of us ever been in a studio, you know. And you know, it was kind of funny is because, you know, it's become a legend kind of thing of the band KORO and this EP and the how fast it is and how old the guys were when we did it, and you know, and then you start getting, you know, you start reading stuff on the internet, and I read this one thing where people said that we sped it up. You know, that we had the engineer speed up. There's no way we could have played that fast, you know. And because there's some rehearsal, you know, cassette tapes that got leaked out somewhere, and they're a hair slower, but you know, I just attribute that to we were just little kids. And that was my first time in a studio. Right. So I was nervous as hell.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and when drummers are nervous, we tend to play a little bit faster. there's no click tracks back then, you know.
Right.
So you know, it just came out to be one of those. We just kind of like did it, you know. Okay, great, we get to go in and make this little record and you know, pass out to our friends at high school. And then you know, here we are now, and I think the last one I saw went for $2,500.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On eBay. And there's like you know, somebody.
Yeah. Do you keep any, Billy? Did you keep any of them?
No, I don't know what happened. You know, it's just kind of like one of those things was lost in.
Did you keep any copies?
100 million moves that I made in the late 80s, early 90s. You know.
Right.
I wish I did. You know, I wish I had like, you know, 20 of them.
Yeah.
So, but I do know a couple of friends of mine that had them that were actually I went to high school with, and you know, they were, you know, what would we sell them for, like $5 or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
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 We got to, you know, we played a lot of great shows. We opened up for Circle Jerks in Knoxville. We went to Nashville and opened up at Cantrell's. We opened up for the Circle Jerks again. You know, Jason's and the Scorchers. You know, they were always down on the UT Strip back there when they were first, you know, kind of getting their thing together. And we would just travel everywhere to go see some of these bands. There's so many punk rock bands that came through. You know, that classic Black Flag lineup with, you know, with Henry Rollins, Des Cadena, Chuck Dukowski, Chuck Biscuits on drums, and Greg Ginn.
Yeah.
You know, that came through, you know, Knoxville. So you know, I got to see some great shows. A bunch of shows where you know, Jason and the Scorchers would open up for the Circle Jerks.
Yeah.
You know, with their classic lineup, and that was I mean, I was 16 years old, you know.
Oh wow.
It's got to be cool to be opening up for those guys, you know, and
Oh
just
yeah.
hang out, and especially as a teenager.
Well, what's funny is that David Teague, the guitar player, he's still out in LA, and he was in the Dickies for a while.
Okay.
And so you know, there's still a really tight knit kind of little punk rock community down there.
Yeah.
And he'll run into Greg Hetson from the Circle Jerks, and he still remembers, like every time David says he walks by me, he goes, KORO, because he remembers us, like, you know, how fast we were and playing with them when we were like, you know, little nards and stuff like that. So, but
I think you guys were definitely influential on some bands. I know you guys weren't around very long, but I think you influenced a lot of bands after you guys.
yeah, that way, I mean, you know, like I said, I've jumped on some forums and just read some stuff, but yeah, I would say so. You know, there's a lot of people that when they hear it, they, you know, they say it sounds like bands that were after us. You know? So I can imagine that, you know, Poison the Well always comes to mind. So I don't know. I've never even heard that band before, but I mean, it was like, it was a great time. It was like a very memorable, you know, part of my life. You know, it was short. It was very short-lived. I mean, it was only, you know, no more than 2 years.
Yeah.
You know? But it, you know, it was like that summer, you know, that crazy high school summer that you'll never forget, you know. And that's kind of like, you know, what it was, you know. But so it's just crazy to see. You know, there's there's like a whole new wave of punk rock kid. Well, there's always going to be.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Right.
But just people will send me stuff. Like somebody sent me, they were in downtown Nashville, and this kid had a jacket with KORO on the back. Like he had made, you know, the full KORO thing. And I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
See some.
Billy, is there a place online where like the music where it's streaming, where the EP can be heard?
Good question. I know it's all over YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
If you got a spare 6 minutes, you could hear 8 songs. And, you know, we were cut from the same mold as all those other, you know, hardcore bands. It was just a bunch of suburban kids, you know, with nothing else to do, that just basically, you know, wanted to have something to rebel against, to make some noise, you know.
But it also, Billy, to me, it's the start of a genre too. I mean, there's speed punk, you know, there's speed metal, There's speed death metal, speed death punk, but it's the start of your building block of a genre, really, to be honest with you. So very influential.
It kind of like, it gave way to those, bands like Metallica, early days, where metal and punk kind of started, crossing over. So.
Right.
Well, now, Billy, I have to ask, do you remember what kit you were playing? Because we always talk about gear.
I know exactly. I mean, that's I could tell you everything about the kit.
Lay it on us, brother.
It was a natural maple leadwood kit. It had 14 by 24 kick drum, 16 by 18 floor tom, 13 by 14 power tom that had the 10 lugs on it, an 8 by 14 Coliseum snare, 14-inch Rude hi-hats, 16, 18, 20 Rude Pisces. That was it.
Wow.
And
do you still have the kit?
No. I don't. It was like, but then when I saw Circle Jerks and Black Flag, I saw Chuck Biscuits was like playing like a 26. Well, Dave Grohl was a big punk rock fan.
Oh yeah.
And, Chuck Biscuits had the 15-inch rack tom and the 18-inch floor tom.
Yes.
And I think Chuck used a 26. He was a big guy, so the drums really just looked like regular size on him. He was just a big guy. But I remember when I saw Nirvana, I was like, there's that big 15-inch rack tom. He's got to be like a Chuck Biscuits fan. Yeah, but I was always.
Oh yeah.
I remember that kit well.
That's cool. The thermogloss kit, the natural maple thermogloss kits, those are pretty valuable. I bet Bunny's got one in the hutch somewhere. We'll have to go raid it and get it back.
If Bunny has a power tom, I would love to see that.
He probably does somewhere back in the hutch. But
when I bought the kit, it had I bought it and I've been playing this little Crown, MIJ kit, forever, just this little red sparkle Crown kit. And then my parents finally I think he's put in the time. He maybe this is something he really wants to do. I was like, you think? Because I've asked for a drum set every year for Christmas since I was 4 years old. I pretty much knew exactly what I was going to be doing. So but they gave it up. But when I first bought the kit, I had bought like a 12 and 13 concert tom, and that didn't last too long. I was ready. I needed something major like all the other hardcore guys were doing.
Well, we first met at the drum show. By the way, have you heard Kat and Eric's theme song they wrote for us? The Splitting Hares.
Oh, you have to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the page here. Yeah, you'll see it. Yeah, they did a great job. But we met through Kat and Eric. It seems like this sounds funny, but I really missed not being at the drum show this year because we're family. I really feel like we're family, and that not seeing everybody and you and Celeste and just talking to each other and hanging out. So hopefully next year, knock on wood, everything will be cool and
next
we're
year
able to get back together.
If that happens, I'm just thinking, wow, back at St. Charles, back at the old, the old building, 30-year, anniversary kind of deal. All my guys, we all got all our booths right in a row, so that's kind of cool. Everybody's going to be right in the same area. So, I'm super excited about it. Of course we were all bummed. We look forward to it every year, to go and do that. I was going to say, I have people all the time who are, well, how much money did you make when you went up there? I'm just like, it's not about that, man. I don't even count. I don't even count. To me, it's like just, it's something I do every year and something we enjoy, and I could care less,
Yeah.
just going up there and seeing everything.
Yeah. So talking about drums, how did you transition from playing to making?
Well, my son was turning about 15, so he needed to learn how to drive. And I had taken about 10-year break off and just raise my son. And then when he was 15, well, no, he was earlier than that, about 12, 13, I got asked to start playing again.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, he's old enough now, I'll get back into it. So I kind of got roped back in. And but then it started taking so much of my time, and I was playing all over the place again. And he's like, Dad, when are you gonna teach me to drive? And that just hit me, and I was like, so at that point, I had always kind of tinkered around with customizing drum kits, and stuff like that. And middle 80s to early 90s, there's everybody was doing custom drum kits and crazy stuff like that. So I was always into doing something different. So I was like, well, I'm not playing now, so maybe I'll just start. I've got the garage, I'll just turn it into a shop. And so I messed around for probably about a year or two before I even took on an actual paying job, or because I just was so nervous that I wasn't gonna be right, and I finally went to Gary over at Forks. Of course Sam Bacco does all his stuff, and it's amazing.
Yep.
But
amazing, yeah.
So I had 2 years under my belt, and I took him some of the stuff I was doing. He's like, this is really cool. He goes, maybe I'll, throw you some stuff that Sam turns his nose up at, so, so I started getting some re-wraps and stuff like that, Sam was busy with the symphony and stuff like that. So I was getting
Slingerland. He was doing Slingerland at the time too. I think Sam was really involved in the new Slingerlands.
That was a little earlier.
Oh, was it? Okay.
This was probably around 2016.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I started doing it. So when I first started building drums was 2000. I'm not 2016. 2000. Huh?
Was it 6?
2006. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. 2006. I don't know. Once all these decades start coming in, and I used to be able to place my whole life by music. And
right.
And then every song that would come on, I could tell you exactly where I was, what the year was, how old I was. And then when I stopped listening to anything that was relevant and new, then that whole timeline just crumbles. It's just completely gone. So yeah, it was 2006 is when I started doing the drum stuff, and just little by little, I just kind of did it. It was just a side thing that I enjoyed doing it, and I really wasn't trying to pay my mortgage by doing it or anything like that. I just really, and still to this day, it's I really protect that passion of building the drum, or doing what I do. Just it's just I'm so protective of it, because I always tell everybody that I always wanted to keep it a want to and not a have to.
Right.
Because once it was a have to, then then that big passion and that big love for what I was doing is gone. And so I was always just real cautious, and at the same time I was real aware that I wanted to keep it that way. So I didn't advertise much. I just worked, word of mouth, just good business practices, just under promise, over deliver, charge working drummers a good fair price, and if somebody had an emergency and they, especially in Nashville, there's so many drummers here that I'd have guys, they knew they'd be able to call me and be like, oh my God, I'm leaving in 2 days. Can you have, bring it now and we'll do it. So,
right.
Just kind of create those relationships and that word of mouth, and it just kind of, it'll just happen, and it'll just work for you if you just do it that way.
Cool.
Bill,
I think you hit on a great subject there about the stuff we love, is that don't make it a have to. I love to restore vintage drums. I love to do it. But if I had to do it as a living, it would be a drag. I love to buy and sell records and collect records. If I had to do it as a living, it would take that fun spark out of it. So I think you hit it right there. Even creating music too, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I'm
thinking
this steers us back. Last year on display, the last drum show, by the way, Rebeats puts on a drum show. It's the national drum show in Chicago every year. You can go to rebeats.com. Rob Cook puts it on. Chicago Drum Show. So look it up, folks, if you need to. Just go to rebeats.com for more information. But it is the drum show, both vintage and custom and new drums. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff there for everybody. But anyway, Billy, you had on a real interesting kit on display, and that caught Craig's eyes. Craig was a virgin last time we went. Hadn't been to the show
that was
before.
my first year.
Yeah. So he was a little overwhelmed, but anyway, so Billy, to steer it, you had an opportunity. You recreated a historic drum set. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Oh, just kind of like what I did and where it went from there.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a good buddy, Mark Good, out in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and he just called me up one day. He goes, "Man, I really want one of these snare drums that you're building. I love it. You want to do some bartering?" I love bartering. Yeah, let's barter, man. Let's come on over. Just bring what you got. And let's just start trading. And so he brought me over all these fiberglass shells, old Pearl 70s fiberglass shells, and I'm like, yeah, cool. We'll do a trade. And so I start going through the shells, and I'm like, here's a 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. So I start going all the sizes. I'm like, oh my God, I've got like a complete Peter Criss, Pearl fiberglass kit here. And I mean that Mirror Ball 1975, tour, the Alive tour that they did, where Peter had the Mirror Ball kit, it just always stuck out in my mind, and so I was like, I just remember telling my wife, I was like, I wonder if I could, find some kind of, mirror mosaic material, and pull this off. And I just started looking and, just scouring. I'm one of those people, man, if I want to do something, or I make my mind up about something, I get obsessed and I won't stop. I mean, I will literally just won't stop, and I think of like, all the, the drum shows and stuff like that, when I meet with other drummers, and we all have this collector's gene, where we have to complete the collection, and like, and it's toys, it's monster stuff. It's like, we're just a bunch of little kids, man, Yep.
So, that's perfect. Yep.
So I had to, I'd made up my mind. So I found some material over in China, and waited for it to get here. And then of course I started with just the little 6-inch, concert tom, because if I screwed that up, then it wouldn't be too bad. And then I could kind of like, so I spent the morning messing, kind of getting a plan on how I was going to do it. And I started looking at the shell, and I was putting it on my measurement mat. I noticed that all the fiberglass shells were undersized, which was perfect, because that meant that I could take the mirror, which was probably a little thicker than glass glitter drum wrap. It was a little bit thicker than that. But that meant that I could like put the mirror on there and actually put the lugs on the outside of the mirror, and not have to leave a space, like the Alice Cooper kit and stuff like that, where the lugs were just, the mirror went around the lugs. Mm-hmm. So I was able to just put it right on top.
Billy, let me ask real fast. Was Peter Criss's kit, was that a one-off? Do you know the history of it for that tour, or was that in production at any time by Pearl?
No, that was never in production. It was a one-off.
Okay.
And I think that they basically just took his silver satin kit, and because it's the same exact sizes. I think they just, for that, it was the same tour, but of course Alive went through the roof. So I think what they did was, he was like, well, let's juice up I got a feeling that they just took that silver satin kit and then rewrapped that with some mirror stuff, because it was the exact same drum kit. So I got the 6-inch drum done, and my wife was out on the deck, and I took it out there, and I was like, what do you think? And then like her jaw just dropped, and I was like, well, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. She was like, no, you've got to do it. I was like, oh God, here I go. I got myself into this. So, but I kind of like, I got the idea down. I got the process down. And I just started, and I just went from the smallest drum to the biggest. but I was started posting, little teaser pictures little by little. I got the 6 and the 8 done. Then I got the 6, 8, 10, and 12 done, and then I started like ringing up all these likes that like I'd never gotten before ever. I was like, wow, this is, and so the kit was finally done, and it was about a couple weeks until the drum show, and I just posted a picture of it, and then it just went through the roof. It was just crazy, and 30 minutes later, literally 30 minutes later, I got a message, and it was Eric Singer from KISS, and he said, "What are you gonna do with that kit?" I said, "I'm gonna sell it." I said, "I'm taking it up to the drum show in a couple weeks after the Chicago drum show," and he just said, "Call me," and
that's awesome.
And so I'm like, "Yeah, right. This is Eric Singer, sure."
Right.
So we had a mutual friend that I knew that he grew up with up in Cleveland. So as soon as I dropped that and we started talking about him, then I was like, okay, this is really legit. This is, he really wants this kit. And you want me to just keep going on what happened?
Yeah, please. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, he bought the kit that day, but I said I've got to take it to Chicago for bragging rights. I've got to set the thing up, and I got to show this thing off. I spent a lot of time working. He's like, no problem. We're not doing anything right now. And so, we started talking about what he wanted to do with the kit. And he basically was going to talk about using it for the KISS cruise, and then, fast forward about 4 months later, and then we're talking about, taking off the concert tom brackets and putting, heavier duty hardware on there, making it roadworthy. It's got to be able to like be up on KISS stage, and I'm like thinking, well, dude, I can't, I've already covered this thing in mirror, so doing any kind of alterations on it's going to be difficult. And luckily my friend Mark Good out in Hendersonville had been collecting fiberglass shells for like 5 years. So he had like a just garage filled of like fiberglass pearl shells. You could not align stars like this. It was just crazy how all this happened. So I'm like, I'm trying to tell Eric, hey, let's just start from scratch. Let's do this exactly. We can just start from scratch. And it took a little while. And we kind of would talk every day. Well, not every day, but at least every other day. But we started, forming a friendship, talking about, vintage drums and this and that, and talking about this kit mainly and what we were going to do to it. And I just remember it was like, we were like 6 months into this, and I'm like, am I making the drums for the KISS tour? And he's like, yeah, you're making the drums for the KISS tour. I was like, so these aren't going on the KISS. No, I need you to make 2 kits. And we have an A kit and a B kit, and I need 2 24 kits. Then it was off to the races then. But then I had a picture of exactly what I was going to do, because I knew I could get basically what I was doing. I would take the 70s fiberglass shells and the 70s coffin style lugs, and then everything else would be brand new hardware from Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
All the mounts, the BT3 mounts.
Yeah.
The mounts on the bass drums that he has the cymbals coming out of, all that would be brand new. The spurs, spur hole placing was exactly the same. Of course, we did run into a few difficulties with those spring-loaded old lugs, because, they're fragile.
Right.
They're fragile, and when you're trying to change drum heads and you got a limited amount of time and you're using some power tools, those springs will back out. And so it got a little stressful during the tour, like on some stuff. There was some damage that happened a few times, like that. And but we just basically, so we started with a concert tom kit. We did the concert toms, and then we're like, okay, but we need to add like we were just like having so much fun with it. We need to add like a cool little, protective thing at the bottom, and we could do this and we could do that, And then he goes, well, why don't we do the B kit? Let's do that all double toms. He goes, and I was like, okay, but let's do something cool. I said, like on the 6, 8, and 10, let's use a snare lug in the center, on the double toms over there, because I think Pearl used to do that for their 10-inch tom. They used to
Yeah.
have like a really cool like little size. So let's just do that on the 6 and the 8, you know. And so we did a double-headed kit all in mirror. We did about I'd say 40 stage played snare drums in mirror.
Oh wow!
We did 3 free floaters, 2 fiberglass in mirror, and we did 1 red acrylic in mirror. I did 3 custom 6x14 where I took 10 by 14 concert toms and I cut them down, so I had a raw shell.
Yeah.
And I made him his
okay.
main snare drums that he was playing for that show were 6x14 fiberglass that were made from 10 by 14 concert toms, and they just sounded incredible, you know. So so we just we did that. Then he's like, okay, well now I need a mirror ball. You know, I need a mirror ball throne, you know.
Oh wow!
So we did an old style canister, and then my wife, you know, she sews.
Yeah.
She did some incredible sewing stuff. So I was like, honey, can you make like really cool, like those old bicycle seats, those old Schwinn bicycle seats? Make like, you know, cool like green, you know, vinyl glitter top. She's like, I'll try, and she like nailed it. So then we had
Awesome.
so then we started doing canister throws. So now we're doing mirror canister throws with the kits for the piano thing where he's like singing Beth, you know.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So it just kept going, you know. And then you know, about a year later, you know, we're all into this stuff. And then I did a matte black like replica. I was like, well, I did the Alive kit, so what else am I gonna do? I was like, well, Peter played that matte black Pearl kit on what was it? Was it Midnight Special?
Yeah.
Midnight Special kit. He played it one time and destroyed it, and nobody knows what happened to the kit.
Oh wow.
So I was like, well, I'll just make that, you know. And I made it, and Eric's like, gosh, Danny, you know I love that kit. so then we kind of did the same thing with that. We just juiced that kit up, and he actually used that for the Kiss cruise, and he used it for the Australia the shark thing, and he used it for America's Got Talent. So, but but we did the same thing with that, but it's slightly different. We always did like a Neil Peart thing where we did 6, 8, 10 concert toms, then we did 12, 13 double-headed, and then 14, 15 concert toms. It was crazy how we did it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what he's into now is keeping the 6, 8, and 10 concert toms, and then using double-headed toms, you know, over
The main, yeah.
It's just it gives him more of, you know, the feel is nicer. You know, he's doing so many shows, and you know, you get a nice response with the double-headed tom. The concert toms are a little bit more difficult, you know, to play. So so we conquered the whole. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was weird because all my local business completely dropped off. You would have thought that, you know, oh my God, he's doing drums for Kiss, that everything would have just completely ramped up and it would have been more than I can handle. But I think, as you know, perception is everything. I just think people thought knew I was too busy, and knew that, you know, hey, you know, he's got other things that he's doing right now, because that local business has come back now that things have kind of, you know,
that's good. That's
a
a good
little
thing.
bit, and everything that's going on with the world right now. But so I'm working now that we conquered the whole fiberglass thing. Now we're doing, you know, Pearl also made phenolic shells, which is a resin-based kind of drum shell. It was one of the best sounding shells I've ever heard. I mean, I thought the fiberglass is almost like acrylic meets mahogany. It's got the attack of acrylic, but it's got a real low kind of full body.
It's got a tone, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful tone to it. And then the phenolic is right up there with it. It just seems to have a little bit more. They're probably the loudest shells I've ever heard, you know. Like when I did him a phenolic shell with that matte black kit, and he's like, I couldn't lay into the drum. It was just too much. I did like hold back, you know, on it, you know. So he's like, well, let's just do for 2020. It was supposed to be 2020, but now it's gonna be 2021. Let's do a full phenolic kit, you know.
Cool.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, phenolic shells. how in the hell am I going to find this many, phenolic shells?
Right.
So I'm thinking that, and then he throws in, but I want the President Series diamond shaped battleship lugs on it, So now I gotta find all those lugs and stuff. So it's almost like he kind of sees if he could stump me. I think.
Right.
Hey, Billy, talking about those shells, Billy, do you remember Tommy Wells? Did you know Tommy?
Yeah. Tommy was a lot of the Nashville guys played pearl fiberglass. Even if they didn't have pearl hardware on there, I think Tommy Wells did. I think he did put Gretsch hardware on there. But there's so many great studio drummers here, and a lot of them use those pearl fiberglass shells.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, Tommy had a Gretsch deal, and he would doctor them up so they looked like a Gretsch drum. I mean, Tommy's an amazing guy.
Baco did that kit.
Did he? Okay.
He actually plugged holes and re-drilled, lug holes and stuff like that. So,
for those of you who don't know, Tommy Wells was a noted session drummer, an amazing individual, just an all-around great human. Left the planet 5-6 years ago, but anyway, just a great guy. Tommy played on a lot of stuff. I mean, he was the Nashville session drummer. One of the first calls, I would say, from 80s through the 90s on up, I would say. Billy, is that about correct? Does that sound right to you? Yeah. So with back to the Kiss drums, I mean, were you on call? Were there times that say, hey, we've got a problem, Billy, I need you to get to Louisville, Kentucky, or whatever?
See, I made house calls to Memphis, to Birmingham, to Indianapolis, and Lexington, Kentucky. So there was 4 house calls. Not as urgent as the first one. But the first one, one of the drum heads was just a little undersized, and it got caught on the mirror. So when it was tensioned down, it didn't sit right, and it buckled like the 16 floor tom. The pressure buckled the whole side of the mirror. So I had to we got in the car, and I already had the B kit I was working on, so I had the 16 ready to go. So we just drove to Memphis and swapped them out, and I took the other one. Actually, I just stayed there and fixed. I had like a little toolbox, mirror mechanic. I'm like sitting there like backstage, like fixing, the buckled area, and it was like, another crazy thing that happened was the Kiss drum heads, the front heads, the Kiss heads, was they were getting ready to start the tour in Vancouver. In January, and they called me up 4 days before the show and said, and Eric said, we've got a problem. The LED chrome bass drum heads that I've used forever aren't working with the stage show, and Gene and Paul don't want them, and so I need you to make me 4 Kiss drum heads and overnight them. This was like Friday night, and I had to overnight them on Monday. And then you add in that I never made a Kiss drum head in my life.
Right.
The king of wing.
So he's like, I'm thinking old school, the glitter, with the black outline right. I knew exactly what he was talking about because I was a fan, So I mean, that's one thing that kind of helped with this whole situation was that I'm not a big uber like crazy mega fan, I was a fan long enough to know I pay attention to drums,
Yeah,
so I knew exactly what he was talking about, about this stuff. So I spent Saturday figuring out how I was going to do the drum heads, and then Sunday I executed it, and they turned out so nice, and I was so proud. And I sent him a picture, and he was just like, "Oh my God," And overnight Monday, Gump put them on the kit, and they look great, and then he's like, okay, now I need 8 more.
That's awesome.
But it was that was very stressful. That was probably the most stressful part of the whole thing was when the floor tom mirror buckled, and when I got the call that I had to do some front bass drum heads. Billy,
did Eric give any feedback? What about the front men? What Gene? might have said, or any of the guys, Paul, about the kit?
It's ongoing joke that he says that Gene never says anything about any of his kits. So I told him
Yeah.
we need to do a drum set that has nothing but pictures of Gene Simmons on it. And then he'll say something.
Then he would like it.
Yeah. So
He would like it. Yeah.
I think Paul really. I mean, I think they really liked the fact that we, it was the last tour. It is the last tour. It's still going on. And we went back to a sound like when he did when you heard this drum kit and you heard his solo and he goes right to the 6, 8, and 10, it took you right back to that 1977. So going back to the fiberglass drums and then doing an updated mirror finish, little tip of the hat to Peter and that era,
Yeah.
which, I mean, it was so cool of him to do, and I mean, I was just in the right place at the right time and did a project that caught somebody's eye, so it's like that saying, you just open doors, man, and you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, Billy, what I think about is you did it with love. I mean, that sounds hokey, but you have love in your heart about it, and you truly enjoy doing it. Now you are making some kits. I know Craig. There was a kit up there that now Craig goes out all these kits. That's the kit I would like to get.
Yeah.
I think it was what was it? It was an orange. Craig, remember what it was? Was it the orange fiberglass kit?
Yeah, they were orange. Yeah. They had other colors on, maybe orange and white, or
I think it was a white tiger with the orange badges.
Yeah.
I still got it for sale.
Yeah.
We can talk later. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fiberglass kit. And that's actually got a 26.
Yeah.
And that was one of the shells that Mark was like, "You interested in this 26?" It's 26. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I mean, because how rare is that?
Yeah.
And then I found another one, right after that. So I had two 26 fiberglass shells.
That was my favorite.
You just
set last
don't
year.
see it.
Oh, thank you. I love the way that kit sounds. It's like I keep fighting myself. I'm like, I'm gonna keep it this week, and then maybe I'll sell it. But I'm gonna keep. You know how we do with drums.
Right.
We always say
yeah.
this is my last kit, right? This is my last kit.
I don't need another kit. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm
So we're
done.
working on the phenolic kit right now for the final kit, and we found most of the shells over in Europe, because it was more those shells were more prevalent over in Europe and Japan. They weren't that popular, or they just didn't push those shells as much in the States. You can find your 12, 13, 22, 16, kits here and there.
That's what I have, Billy. I've got two. I've got a 12 and 13. So if you ever need pearl, they're the blue fiberglass. But if you ever, we'll talk if you ever need them.
I've still
setting
got stacks of
my
them.
dad.
You wouldn't believe.
My dad owned it. Oh, sure.
You wouldn't believe how, like, as soon as I started doing this, then I became the pearl fiberglass guy.
The guy. Yeah.
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 And so, like, everybody started, dude, I've got a ton of fiberglass shells if you need them. And I was just like, it was like that scene from Trading Places where you just buy, and I'm just like buying all the, as many of the fiberglass shells as I could possibly get, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how many, we're going to make this kit or that kit. I wanted to have them, and I was like, I'm never gonna have another opportunity to snag this many. And I love the way they sounded, So, then I was like, well, if worse comes to worse, and I have all these shells, I could just make more 1975 Kiss Alive kits, because I literally could have sold 30 of them.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah.
That picture.
Yeah.
I mean, there was collectors. Everybody was. I mean, I had so many people. I could have probably sold 30 of those kits.
How much faster did you get at putting on the mirror from the first one to the last one?
Super fast. I'm doing a. It's so weird talking about stuff I'm doing, because it's like, the tours are all on hold.
Right.
But I'm doing another mirror ball kit. I'm not gonna say who, because I don't want to ruin his surprise.
Sure.
Right.
When these guys, when they get their new tour kits, they want to announce it, and they want to be the first ones to talk about it and stuff like that. So, but I'm doing another.
Well, tell Ringo I said hi though, Billy. Okay? Tell Ringo I said no.
It is a Ludwig kit. I will tell you that. It's a Ludwig 13, 16, 18, 24 mirror ball.
Cool.
Natural maple, classic maples.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Now I'm
Now
going.
the wheels are turning.
So yeah, I did the 13 and 16 in one day, and he's like, "Wow, you're really fast at this." I was like, "Well, I had a little bit of practice."
Right.
You know.
Well, Billy, I want to thank you for being with us tonight here in the garage door program, and we'd like to have you back again when you get the Ludwig kit finished. We'd love to have you back on. Are you still in touch with any of the guys from the old band, by the way, switching topics real fast? Did you ever talk to any of those guys?
Well,
Any
like I
chance
said,
of
my oldest brother was the singer, so I do keep in touch with my brother. David Teague is probably I do keep in touch with David. I saw him. I was in a band called Valentine Saloon, and David came to we did a reunion show, and Dave came to my show.
Cool.
You know, me and David will always have that bond. You know, it's like when we have those old friends, and then you don't see each other for like 10 years, but when you get back together, it's like you haven't lost any time.
Nothing's passed, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's how me and Dave are. And he's still out in LA just killing it, you know. He's you know, Ron Fennell, the bass player, I think last time I heard he was a lawyer and maybe over in France or something like that. And then Carl Snow he actually put out some more, he released some of the KORO stuff, did a re-release and some kind of rare stuff that was never released. And he's still in Knoxville. And I did see him probably about, gosh, it's like, I think it's like, was it really 10 years ago? 10 years just goes like that.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah, it was about 10 years ago. So and we were all at a table, me, Carl, and Dave, and we probably hadn't been together like that since like 1983. So yeah,
that's very cool. You know, it'd be great if you guys, when all this is over, to have a show. If you do, we want to know about it. Of course.
Oh, I can't play that fast anymore.
That's right. That's right. The EP is now 33 minutes long.
You see the castle?
Billy, thanks for being with us on the Garage Door. Any closing comments, Billy?
Oh no, man! I just look forward to seeing you guys. You know, up in St. Charles.
Yep.
Next year.
Oh yeah.
And thanks for having me, man.
Hey, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Love
nice shirt
Celeste,
too.
love Celeste. Please tell her we said hey. And yeah. Craig's got your shirt on. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks, man. You guys have a great rest of your evening. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Billy. Talk to you later, man. Peace. Love and peace. All right. Sounds good, you guys.